it's time to set back into things. Any of the bugs here have been fixed. So apparently some of Bellum's bugs got into the system, but they're gone now. And we can continue forward. You bought a mine pick, and you also bought some rations, yes?
I think we're holding off on the rations because we have enough.
Okay, then. That works. So it is time to... I can't even say a dusty trail because you have a general acknowledgement that you're looking for a weird tree in the woods. And there is a lot of the woods. If we take a look at the map here, here you are, and everywhere else is woods. Now, fortunately, you did have a little bit of a guiding light, in so much that he said it was towards the base of the mountain. So you may not exactly be going out to the lake, but you could be traveling even a couple days through the woods, which if there's not really trails, and there might not be, it could take a little while. If it does end up all the way down here, it could be a while. Or it could just be, honestly, right outside of town, and people just don't observe this sort of thing. The bartender... go ahead.
Sophonix had said he had seen the tree at least once before. He didn't give us an exact locale?
He did not, no. He knows that it exists, and he said it's deep in the woods by the base of the mountain.
We're gonna get lost?
Maybe. Does anyone have survival as a skill?
Not proficiency, no.
Okay.
But I mean, there's lots of ways that we can avoid getting lost.
You can hire a guide.
Yeah, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking that, we can always fly, and you can fly up above the treetops, and then you can get a pretty good idea of which way you need to go. You can see, you can see rivers and mountains and sometimes towns. There's lots of stuff you can see if you can just get an aerial view. And we don't even necessarily have to cast a spell, because I can always just have Peggy Sue fly up and look through her. So there's lots of stuff we can do.
Peggy Sue the signal flare.
Yeah, we're relying on that to not get lost.
Okay.
Did he say north or south?
Deep in the woods by the base of the mountain. Now, I hang on. I will bring this up. You all did come from the north, and you were pretty much hugging the mountain on the way down. Following the little trickles and streams and logging trails and all this other stuff. So,
True.
If it's towards the base of the mountain, and you already knew that, he had requested this of you, not that you were necessarily looking for a tree that had pink leaves and crystals and all this other stuff, it could be to the north. But if you trust yourselves that you wouldn't stumble over something like that, most likely it's to the south.
I mean, there were enough of us that we would at least be able to keep a vague eye out on the way down here.
Presumably. Unfortunately, you have an enigmatic, smart, but kind of detached quest giver. And that's not an insult to Volvo. Volvo's playing the character very well. I do not have a problem with how Volvo spoke or presented Siphonix to you all. So take that as a DM blessing for the interaction that was said. I might have clarified some concepts, but the interaction and the words and whatnot were spot on.
Then going south and hugging the mountains is the way to go, I think.
All right. So no guide, but using Peggy Sue, kind of sending her up, and so I don't know, Bright, do you want to sit on Grayson's back as your eyes kind of roll up and you look through Peggy Sue's eyes, or do you want someone to carry you, or what?
We weren't gonna take Grayson.
I don't think we're taking Grayson.
We're boarding him for a couple of days.
In the stable.
Oh, sure. How many days of boarding do you need?
Well, we don't really know for sure, but we could just kind of, maybe we could pay in advance, and then we could get a refund for the unused boarding days.
That's
yeah,
fine.
Something like that.
I'm thinking board him for a week in advance.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Okay. So it'll be 2 silver per day.
That's 14 silver. How does that get? Math. Gotta do in my head.
1 gold.
1 gold, 4 silver,
And
right?
if you're delayed, then they're going to impound your donkey until you pay the fee to get it out. We'll just kind of clamp a metal boot onto it, and you can't take them out.
Okay.
All right then. So Brayson's taking care of Norla. Are you taking any other pets, or are you gonna leave them behind also?
Well, I definitely take Yuri and Herbert. I'll probably leave Mordecai.
Okay.
Wouldn't leave Mordecai. What if someone, like, he looks just like a regular chicken. What if somebody confuses him with another chicken and eats
She
him?
has a blue wing, and we can board her.
There is a distinct Mordecai shade of blue wing
Hey,
where the chicken was attached to his face.
I'll leave it up to you then.
I think she'll be fine if we leave her with Brayson, plus Brayson will be lonely if you leave him by himself.
Hey,
Okay.
I mean, he won't
boarding
really
a
be by
chicken-
himself though. But
Boarding a chicken will be 5 copper per day.
it's really expensive boarding for a chicken.
Yeah, but you all want to, if you want it fed, and especially if you want it with a special slurry, then...
Special meat diet.
Oh my god.
But hey, when you come back, you might have an egg waiting for you.
Or a few.
Or a few.
Also instructions to save the eggs.
Okay, that's coming out of party gold, by the way.
That's fair.
Alright.
Alright then. You should have taken it out of the cookie fund, but I guess this will work too.
Yep. No more cookies.
Yep, nothing but the best for our chicken. Alright, so you have stowed away Brayson, the mule, and Mordecai, the chicken-ish type thing. Vampire, not quite, weird, homunculus.
Still a chicken.
Chicken?
The
Okay.
vampire?
If it's easier to process that reality, then I'll let you put that label on it. And you begin to head south, right? You all have your stuff. Jade, are you equipped with whatever you need?
I am also equipped. I am all good.
Okay.
I think we're all good.
Oh, Mordecai,
Let's get rid-
if you have a 1 foot slug, not slug, if only it was that tame, a leech. It's in a glass jar. That's probably also weighing about 10 pounds.
Alright, I'll go ahead and make sure to note that.
Because, well, wait, like 10 pounds is about a gallon, I think. It might even be a little bit more if there's a... Let's be safe and call it 15.
Those are really fat.
Yeah.
Really fat leech.
Would you like to name the leech?
No, but I am going to switch out my short swords for the rapier.
Okay.
Oh, if you're not gonna name it, I'm gonna look up a name for it.
It's gonna get gutted anyway. Because we're gutting it to get the sap out.
I mean, maybe we could just like poke a hole in it and drain the sap out, kind of like how you would normally drain the sap out of a tree. I mean, there's no need to squish the leech if we don't have to.
I'll leave that up to the animal person.
Norlai and I will try our very hardest to get the sap out without squishing the leech.
Fair.
Alright. To the south you go, with hopes and dreams, with items and magic for now.
So, Piggy Sue protocol is that she will fly overhead
Yes.
about 70 feet up most of the time. So, up over there. And every minute or so, I'll just take a peek through her eyes and make sure that we're not wandering away. And maybe we can make notes on a little, my writing kit still, so I can maybe make some notes. I'm not really a map maker, so it may not be the best notes, but I mean, they're better than nothing.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Well, then what we're going to do is we're going to find out just how long it's going to take you to find a tree, and we're going to do that through a skill challenge, everyone. Yay! Skill challenge.
Yay! Skill challenge!
And for those of you out there, if you're not aware of a skill challenge, it is X amount of successes before Y amount of failures. And that can determine the success of what you're trying to do. And it's a good way to represent overland travel, or just sort of like non-minutia, like combat time, or the expanse vague of just saying you travel 5 days, you find a weird tree. Well, whoopity-doo. You know, there's things that can be brought up. Like, we just learned that Mordecai was a vegetarian, so what if that comes up in a skill challenge? And also, we wouldn't have Jade the Swole if we didn't ask her to perform athletics.
All the time.
So
Literally
all the time.
Every time someone needs something strong done. It's just, Jade, can you do it? The rest of us are weaklings.
So, through our skills, while this is going to be taking place presumably over several days, as you're scouting the forest and you're looking for things here, I'm going to treat this where every skill can be used twice in the context of the search. So, everything can't be perception, but perception can be used twice. And what I will be doing is I will present a situation, and we'll go down the line, or one of you can step forward, and then you can sort of create your own initiative. So if Celine, you act first, everyone else has to act before you can act again. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And the things that you do can help each other, depending on the circumstances of the conditions and the narrative. So Mordecai, you might do something that sets up Bright and will provide advantage. If you have something in particular, like a trait or a feature or something, I may be open-minded to that use. We'll see. Now, as you're leaving on this first day, the weather is in fact changing, as a wind is blowing down from the mountain and is bringing with it severely frigid temperatures. And that is causing a kind of an ice fog effect. And as you travel, hopefully you have a way to stay warm. I guess I'd go for my little squishy people here. Mordecai doesn't affect you as much, because you're already kind of numb to life.
Dead.
This could cause a concern for our cold-blooded, our cold-blooded snake and our plant friend. So keep that in mind, Noralai, and how you want to keep your plant and your snake warm. But there is a cold snap, and things are starting to freeze up, as well as the snow is falling. An early spring cold snap and a frost with the snow coming down through the woods. And in fact, it just so happens that aren't I the best? And I have a fun little graphic, because clearly we need to know what snow-covered woods look like. But you're walking through and everything is just nice and frosty. You can see your breath, most of you, in front of you, and you're leaving footprints in the snow. It seems like the animals have all hunkered down, and Mordecai. This could be an initial prompt for a skill challenge, or just otherwise you or someone else can try and overcome this. But there is a mountain stream. However, the mountain stream appears to be frozen, or at least frozen over the top, and it might have some water running underneath the ice. Now, you can just march across, or if one of you wants to make some sort of like a survival or a nature or a knowledge, or I don't know what you want to do. But there is a wide mountain stream that is going to require a crossing.
How far across?
We'll say this is. This is the command. Oh, all right. It's not that far. It might be a little deeper. It might be a little gouge, but it's only like 10 feet across.
All right. Well, my first thought is to cast enhance ability on myself with the Constitution as the ability for the 2d6 hit points.
Okay.
So that in a case that it hurts me, I don't take actual real damage.
Okay. Then,
So,
what you can do with this circumstance, if you want to be the first to use a, I guess in this case this would just be a Constitution, which if it's a generic like an intelligence instead of a particular skill, I'm fine with generic. Like you can do 5 generic intelligences or 5 generic cons because you're kind of at a little disadvantage, not a mechanical, but at a disadvantage because there's not a rider. It's just a check there. But I'll tell you what, Mordecai, we'll count this as a kind of a Constitution check, or I guess like a
skill check.
Yeah, a Constitution skill check, and so you can be the first to see if you can overcome.
I have an advantage on those.
Yes.
For this, so
Roll at advantage.
19.
Nice. All right. So you people stop. You buff yourself, and it's because of your magic and or the fact that it's frozen up or mostly frozen over, where it's not necessarily flowing water. You do manage to cross with maybe just kind of a shiver, not from the cold, but just I don't know. People say that you get that feeling like someone's walking on your grave. Well, you get that, except you're not in one. So you just get a little refreshing tingle. It might be more like a nails on chalkboard tingle, but you tingle all the same. And we have a check. So continuing on, there's nothing that seems obvious here. You can choose to go in a direction. You can. I know that Peggy Sue has this flight pattern. There's nothing that seems obvious right now for Peggy Sue.
Okay.
If there's something by default, because I understand this is an action that's perfectly fine, I will give you if anything seems obvious through Peggy Sue. But
Okay. I just, it's really just to keep us from getting lost, but also if we see it, or if we see the flying thing, that's important too. If she sees the flying thing, she's supposed to come right back to me without trouble.
I suppose like a perception to see if we can find
Just
the
a quick
direction.
question: who doesn't have warm clothes?
Anyone who doesn't have warm clothes gets free clothes warming service by me.
Uh,
Oh look, Jane, you get to wear bright like a meat suit.
Oh, she gets warm clothes, because I can do that.
Let's try your fresh clothes.
Oh, and here I thought maybe you didn't want to walk through the snow because you're so short, so you're just kind of Yoda backpack on Jade, and you just keep her warm that way.
Well, we could do that too if you want to, but I was thinking I could just warm your clothes.
All right, so Jade, it takes some constant finger wiggling from Bright here because I think it only lasts like a minute per caster. Or no, is it
It lasts an hour.
Oh no, okay. Oh no, I'm thinking of the sound effects, the instruments or whatever. I think it is. A minute.
Minor illusion is the short one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, Jade. Every once in a while, and Bright warms you up.
I actually have a set of warm clothes that I don't need anymore.
Norlai, do you have anything besides your sailor outfit?
No.
You might want to wear some winter clothing then.
I'll borrow Mordecai's winter clothes.
Okay.
All right.
You look very colorful. I'm presuming.
It's the stuff we got in Browbeat, so whatever Browbeat fashion is.
Oh yeah, that's true. So no, it's not necessarily colorful unless Mordecai was doing some embroidery or kind of sewing some beads onto the jacket or something. Then Norla, you have a
So-
very practical,
Great,
very warm
great.
jacket.
Could you make it a little more colorful?
Could I make it colorful?
No, bright.
Oh.
Yeah, I can change its color. That's another thing I can do. Do you want it purple or pastels? Okay. What do you want? A pretty light blue?
Yes. Thank you.
All
Okay.
right. So Celine, if you want to, you could use perception to look around. Survival could be used to try and find trails and paths. Different knowledges,
I'm looking at
nature,
survival.
arcane, or whatever, might lead to some insight. Or, but as far as you all know, you're alone out here. You haven't seen any huntsmen or loggers. That are. You have seen some animal tracks in the snow. So that could be something.
I'll make the perception check with a 12. Oof.
Okay. Celine, you are just you're so good at looking around, but unfortunately with all just the white everywhere, your eyes that are normally very keen are just having trouble focusing. It's not a case of snow blindness, but definitely everything is just so monotonously white and brown that as you're looking through the woods here, it is just a tree is a tree is a tree, a branch is a branch is a branch.
Right, yeah, there's no distinction. It's like, yeah, no, guys, not,
Seeing anything? So did you say that there were no animal tracks?
There are animal tracks, yes. You are finding some. They probably all scampered off to different places.
So, is there any idea of what kind of animals they are? Are they like squirrels and hedgehogs, or bears and things?
You're finding some little tracks of varmints, and then you're finding some bigger ones, probably deer or the like. You're not finding any super mega prints. If we'll say that you have a general awareness of what a bear paw print looks like based on your recent hunting trip with Mordecai.
Yeah, I'm not looking for that bear. I'm gonna head off, if you don't mind, everybody. I'm gonna head off into the woods just about 100 feet or so. And I'm gonna see if I can find a little varmint that I can talk to.
Okay.
And I'll just see if we can communicate the idea that we're looking for a very special tree, and if you know where it is, you could point us in the right direction. That would be very nice.
Okay. So evening is falling. The temperature continues to do so, as well as some snow, and so while the canopy was able to hold a lot of the snow in this flurry and things coming down, Bright, especially for you, you're having a harder time trudging through the snow because it is piling up. However, you can go out and, call for some friends, make some fun little wintertime small animal noises. And there is a squirrel that pokes out of a knot in a tree, or a hole in a tree.
Squirrels,
And you're getting kind of
squirrels are some of my favorites.
What do you want? And you're going to have to try and butter up this squirrel because things are cold. It had to run back. It should be gathering nuts, and instead it's having to eat what it's found so far.
Well, it just so happens that I have a whole ration full of nuts, so I will give him a ration.
Okay.
Gonna drop me down to 8.
You can make some kind of a social skill check here then, with advantage.
I'm having a dog emergency. I'm really sorry. I'll be right back.
Yep. Do what you got to do. We'll let's see. I think I can roll real quick on behalf of.
That's a whole 2 pounds of nuts.
Hey, if you want to butter up that squirrel.
She stuck them up real good.
Loaded. Oh, maybe it's more than the world does.
We'll see if we're back before I take agency of the character sheet. Is everything okay?
Yes. Everything is going to be fine. But just give me 1 second to reassemble myself.
Yeah, no problem. While you do so, you want to bar up the squirrel, get information here. You have advantage from feeding it a goodly amount of prepared trail rations and nuts. And so, man, you found an ornery squirrel. This little sucker just stole your bag of roasted nuts and, pretty much tells you, yeah, you want a tree? The forest is full of them. Go find your
That's
own.
crappy. I didn't use my portent on it.
If you want, yeah, you can use your portent if you want.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of a mess right now, but yes, my intention was always to use the portent on the squirrel. So I'm not trying to metagame that, but you did kind of roll it while I was away without letting me play it. So.
No, I'm sorry. Of all the people to have sort of like what I thought would have just been like okay, we get the direction. It'd be the person who can manipulate fate and such. So, okay, and you're using your high number, I presume.
Yeah, it's a 19.
Yeah.
Plus my persuasion is 4, so 23.
Yep. Okay. So it is really grumpy but you bat your eyelashes, please, kind of like a Roger Rabbit style here, and you know what? This wonderful little warm beating heart of a squirrel, who stole your bag of nuts, realizes just how selfish it was being, and it does keep your food, and it actually just tucks it in and then is talking from the hole in the
it's
tree
supposed
here.
to keep the food. It's gift.
And it tells you it hasn't seen a tree like that because it doesn't really leave this, I don't know, area. But it has heard from other squirrels that there have been animals that have been moving away from a part of the forest that is in that direction, and it points in a direction. And that direction seems to be following the ridgeline of the mountain.
I'm getting reassembled and back into character now.
No problem.
Getting back into character is literally getting back into character. This is why I normally go off video during breaks and things. I just didn't have time. The dogs were fighting. It's very sad.
Oh no.
Make a real animal handling check.
Yeah. Here, I just keep a squirt bottle of water next to me in case the cats are getting uppity.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit more. Those dogs can tank that.
Yeah, squirt bottles don't really work on these dogs. It just makes them mad.
All right, we have a direction now, though.
You have a direction. Night is falling here, as is the snow and the temperatures. What are you going to do as far as resting, making a camp, surviving as the conditions are just getting really bitter?
Well, I guess that makes it my turn. But I will end up passing on that to assist in the next.
We'll want to build a fire, at the very least.
Yeah, we're gonna have to gather wood, and since it's snowing, we should try to see if we can find something resembling shelter. I was really not expecting a snowstorm right now,
Not at all.
You know there are spells that you can take that will make it,
Give it shelter, but
yeah, I don't have
those.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and conjure up Betty. It's gonna take me 10 minutes because I don't have her prepared.
I kind of want to look around and see if we can find a shelter of some kind.
Snurdipers, thank you very much for that raid. Welcome to you and everyone that came over with you. Sit back and enjoy as we're going through a skill challenge, a bit of a survival and a target acquisition skill challenge in some wintry woods.
I would like Peggy Sue to help. I mean, I can only take a quick look around with her because I do have to concentrate on casting Betty. But see if there's anything that looks promising where she can help kind of point Mordecai in the right direction, finding something that looks like shelter.
All right. Well, Mordecai has already made a check here. So is Celine
Okay.
and you, Bright. So I need something from Norlai or Jade. Jade. Jade, I know you're providing a cantrip here, but as far as a skill to sort of fill the slot here, is what I'm looking for.
I could do a survival check to.
Okay, you can do survival. Okay. So Norlai, you sort of bound off into the wintry woods in your pastel blue mining coat, which is keeping you very warm. And you do find that because of the frozen brush and the situation here, there's actually some kind of a natural lean-to of some brush and a large tree where not a ton of snow has fallen. It's acting as a bit of an umbrella, so it's not too deep. Bright isn't going to have too much trouble here, and you do have a cover over top of you if you treat it a little bit like an igloo. And you could probably make a fire pit. There's plenty of wood around. It'll need to be dried out, but some prestidigitation can take care of that. So Norlai, you come back, and you find a very good camping spot for everyone.
I found the best camping spot. Oh, this way.
All right. So we head there.
Okay. We are talking about a course of days, because I want to keep this encapsulated here for things like spells or whatnot. I'm just treating this as one sort of ongoing encounter. Because I know you have different spells you can learn, I'm not penalizing that, and we'll come up if there's a final day where you can wake up and if you think that this is going to be the day, or you can just keep a general spell suite, that's fine as well. But because I'm just
I get new
focusing-
portents every day, so I need to keep track of how far we're like. I need to keep track of days, like real days.
Yes and no, because I want to treat this overall as an encounter using the resources to keep things moving. You have the two portents. The one has been used, and we're gonna keep it going in that regard. And you'll get your portents for the day when we come back to like real time and not just skill challenge time. Because every day I don't want to worry about shifting spell slots and all these other resources that spawn. I'm worried about telling a story through skill checks. Does that make sense?
Think of this as the Rocky montage.
Okay.
So the day passes. You survive through the winter, this winter storm. It is still snowing in the morning. The light comes. It is still below freezing, but your camp is pretty well clear because it was sheltered to the brush and because of the tree. And it is time to get back into things. And for you Bright / Fluffy, because you have Peggy Sue and whatnot, I'm keeping that in mind. Like all these passive stuff, I'm keeping in mind for the difficulty I'm looking for on the skills is being affected by that in a positive way for you all. So I'm not trying to be ignorant to your all special abilities, but if we're recharging abilities and spell sheets every day in a travel log like this, it just becomes kind of complex. Or more complex than what I want to do for the time that we have here. So now we come down to Jade. It's a new day, but you still need to do something here before we roll over. You could try finding someone or something. You could look around. You can climb a tree. You can knock a tree over. You can do all sorts of stuff. How would you go about? There is a travel hazard in the form of snow, especially for Little Bright here. But the snow is really going to be slowing everyone down. It's not just for Bright. It's just that, you know, she's going to be like chest high in the snow that's been falling, while for all of you it's going to be like, you know, waist high or, you know, whatever, like thigh high or whatever.
I mean, a foot or two of snow is kind of unusual. So I know I guess I can't take a turn because somebody, I think Jade still has to take a turn.
Jade still has to do something in how I have this set up.
Jade will use clairvoyance to have a higher vantage point. No need to climb a tree and put herself at risk. And even if she wanted to, it wouldn't be much of a risk with spider climb. So she'll be using that to get a higher nav vantage point. And I guess that's a perception check. And more than likely will be insistent, physically so, to be carrying Bright on her back.
Okay, you're carrying Bright up a tree?
No. She's just going to be carrying Bright on her back, but she's using clairvoyance about a mile up to get a view from higher up to see if there's anything that's likely that they're going to end up needing to go towards, or something that might stand out. Just generally gain a view of the land from a significantly higher vantage point than normal.
Okay. Does I know we made an exception for the forehead, but as you're familiar with Celine in that regard, can you put a clairvoyance sensor just like a mile up, or does it have to be in a familiar place?
Any place I am completely aware of.
Okay.
I can post a spell.
Yeah, you can.
So to be familiar, literally all I need to do is look up.
Yeah, it's within range.
Or an obvious location.
In a location that is familiar to you, so that a place that you've seen or visited before, or in a very obvious location in a place that you're unfamiliar with. So, as an example, 1 mile upwards.
Okay. So with this perception, this is the second time perception's been used, and so perception is now going to be locked out.
That's fine.
You find an opening, and you send your sensor up, and it is, it's a mile up. Let's see. So your eye rolls out of your head, and you throw it upwards, and it kind of jets up into the sky here. Mile. Could look around. All right, you can see that there's more mountain brooks. There's a lot of just wintry white forest tops. I'll tell you what I'll do with this as a roll then. We can have this translate because you were able to get a good scan around from this height. If something comes up that is a natural barrier, or something that could be a natural hazard like a brook or a pile of rocks, or just, I don't know, something that could have been visible, your perception could effectively aid in overcoming that because you could see that it was upcoming. But this way I don't have to generate a detailed map out for you all, but we can keep it in the narrative as we're building this story in order to get to the tree. Does that work for you? To reflect that you are getting this knowledge of the map around you? Okay. Alright, so Jade has this knowledge of things that are coming up here. It does look like there's some rock piles. It could be... there's a lot of snow on the side of the mountain, and so there could always be the risk of an avalanche if something were to happen. There's some more frozen streams, so Mordecai, you can be made aware of that. And you all can press onwards. There's nothing obvious from this mile up. Pardon me. There's nothing obvious from this mile up that's a giant pulsing heart in the sky or anything like that. So if there is this tree here, it either doesn't stand out or it's not as tall as the canopy that you were looking down upon. So if the plan is to stick to the mountain base, then we're coming back around. As everyone has acted so far, well, I mean, Jade just acted, but if someone else would like to go, like Mordecai, do you want to do something in particular? Do you want to try and draw on some knowledges to gather, or do you want to use some sort of a kind of like what Bright did, where there's this trait she has that she can talk to animals, or if you have a spell that lets you talk to animals, you can try and track that down, or plants. Talking to plants might be able to work out here. You have a lot of options as you're still generally searching for this tree.
I think I kind of want to draw on my knowledge, since my troop was a traveling troop.
Okay.
Kind of want to draw on the knowledge of the area and see if I can find this tree, because if it's a tree that's a significant landmark and has been in the past, then kind of want to see if that's the case. Because a tree with pink leaves would make a significant landmark.
Okay. Are you rolling history?
History would be my idea,
Sure.
unless there's something else. Unless something else is
Okay, yeah. Has something like this come up in tales of traveling around? You know, you're trying to recall Mordecai, and it's kind of hazy. Like something like this could stand out. There's a lot of stories, kind of like what the bartender was telling you, or unless you're even recalling what the bartender told you, that, you know, fantastic things that have occurred, people who have mistaken, you know, trees because of the dawn's light passing through them. You know, is it something that lives in the swamp, or is it merely just swamp gas that people see? Or just tales that they make up to try and sound brave. So unfortunately, as you're trudging along, you're trying to recall, you know, oh, you're even rhyming, like what rhymes with pink that could have come up in a song, or tree, and so you're having a fun little kind of song session in your head, but nothing is really congealing thought-wise. This might not be a recent thing, so maybe you haven't heard of it because this is a more recent manifestation. Okay, so continuing along, we are going to roll on something that I have here.
Who wants to go next and take a bardic inspiration?
I suppose now that you've gone again, I can try something.
All right, you all have now, continuing on, you know, you're going in the same direction. Nothing's obviously leaping out at you, whether that's a wolf or an idea. The wolf part's probably good. And, oh, yes?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, I might try something next. This thing's supposed to be magical or lack thereof. Maybe an Arcana check to try and attune myself with the flow of magic to see if there's any place where it's just a lot around that's a lot deader than the rest of the area.
Sure. If you want to make an Arcana, you may.
And if you want to help me with the bardic inspiration,
Self-inspired.
it's a D8, yes.
Yes.
Alright, so roll an Arcana. Yeah, good thing I got it.
A 9
That's
or
what
a
I'm good
6.
for.
14. That'll be.
Or, okay,
14.
14.
Because, wow, I am not rolling well today.
Nothing is really registering to you here. No kind of tingle, thoughts about what could something like this be. It seems to be magical, as this is not This is obviously not a normal tree. I mean, there's a lot of different ones, but you know, you're going over lore in some sort of a sixth sense. Not quite as accurate, obviously, as detect magic, but as you're trying to extend your feelings or feel the vibrations of a ley line or some other invocation of your belief in magic, nothing is necessarily coming to fruition. No new information.
Okay.
I'm not saying your skull implodes on your brain and it's a failure, but there's nothing that's really new that is being added to the equation as you continue to truck along here. Ahead of you, as evening falls, is a small cluster of cabins. And inside of one of them, it does look like there's some smoke coming up and some lights on inside. And there is a horse outside with a very familiar wagon attached to it.
Is that the guy that we saw back in?
It does appear to be Bellum's wagon.
Think he'd put us up for the night?
I don't know. Although, you know,
Jade walks right towards the cabin.
Okay.
frankly, I don't think it's the best idea, but that's just me.
I'm okay with it.
I'm going with.
Okay.
Selena will follow, but under her mask, she is cringing because she doesn't want to see what's going to be going on next. Because she hasn't taken her mask off yet.
It looks like there's 10 cabins, or like, you know, a couple cabins and some sheds that are around. Only one has the light on inside. Jade, you're going up as we've cycled through. Like, you were the last person on this last round. Only Mordecai and Selene have acted. If you want to take action here, you can do something in particular. But it does look like Bellum's wagon is hitched outside, and the horses have been put on a post, and they have some blankets over it here as things are still cold and kind of snowy.
All right, looking for Bellums.
For Bones?
Bellum.
Bellum.
Oh, Bellum. Okay. Just kind of looking in the window on the way up, it looks like he's inside making some kind of food. Tea.
I'm trying to remember Bellums in detail. Sorry.
I didn't give too much of a physical description of Bellum.
No, I'm just trying to remember the previous interaction. How it went. Sorry.
Basically.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say for your notes, Derek, that basically the interaction went like this. Selene and Bright went out. Selene was like, Selene checked out his fares and was like, yeah, no
Right,
problem.
okay. Sorry, for some odd reason I dissociated and thought it was a previous NPC. I don't know why. Okay, so, yeah, I picked his brain, if I recall.
Yep.
So,
That you did.
Yeah, you got a nice deep dive too.
yep. So, yeah, Bellums is going to put us up for the night, whether he likes it or not.
Sure. This is
And
a compulsion.
This is an intimidation.
Sure.
And this is using all that nice little bit of insight because I already know how his gears work.
All right. Yep. You
I'm
did a good
going
job on
to-
that. He failed. You can have advantage, which is going to work.
26.
Because instead of an 8 and minning out, you almost get
Why?
a 20 on your roll.
Oh my god.
Or did you forget that Jade's primary skills end up dealing with deception and intimidation?
All right. So.
But she
are you
says
just, like,
it's going to happen.
kicking in the door, shouting, or are you walking in and you're like being very like, not even passive aggressively. You're just being very calmly aggressive, and dropping hints that of this and that. How are you approaching that?
I imagine that it's typical Jade, appearing extremely unstable, and you do not want to poke the bear. And so long as I agree that this is what happens, this person might not wig out and kill me in my sleep.
Okay. So Bellum freaks out. You know, you're coming in here and you're making these very direct requests. Yeah, sure. That's fine. This isn't even my cabin. I didn't kill him. I swear. I just found it this way. Look, I left. You were talking about this tree, and I figured, well, I'd go out and take a look because that's what I do. I collect weird stuff like this, and look, I came
collect
across
weird
the camp.
things too.
Everything was open. I didn't steal anything. I closed the doors, and that's it.
I collect weird things too. I have a collection of eyelids. Would you like to see them?
Yes, actually.
You have such pretty eyes.
Do you need eyelids? I have a jar of eyelids.
She starts kind of pressing her hand against the corners of his face, like finger kind of just stretching the corner of his eye a bit, like testing the wares.
Ma'am, I'm using those currently, but I have others. I have some deer eyelids.
No, these will work. These will work.
Are we here?
Yeah. I mean, you all are here.
I'm gonna just back Jade away.
Now
Look,
you
if
can
you
play
even
good
want your own
cop.
cabin, there's plenty of cabins here. You can have a cabin each. But look, I'm just this simple merchant. I have to keep my leeches warm. You see, there's like the collection of leeches by the fire, so that water doesn't freeze. And he also has some other like little animals and other things that he brought in that are by a fire. But yeah, just stay wherever you want. That's fine. I'm not here to steal. I had to get out of the snow. I told everyone. I told them the weather would change, and look at that. The weather changed.
Who's the owner of this? Did you see them?
No, by the looks of it, this is something. It's a logging camp, but I haven't seen any of the loggers around. I tried knocking. I tried looking around, but it's like they just all left. All the doors were open and everything.
Oh, they left. They left their skins.
Might be those people, Mordecai. The ones
Yeah,
that we
but I thought
caught.
those others came from the other direction.
They did. The ones that were demon possessed, that was further
Yeah.
north. Now that doesn't mean it couldn't have happened down here. Remember, you are sort of on the heels also of Norlai's brother, who is traveling with Broomhilder von Alay, whose patron is a fiend, and presumably, you know.
Yep. With I mean, Derek, the last thing I heard you say was, this'll work just fine, talking about the eyelids.
Don't worry about it. Moving on.
Alright. Well, if this is a logging camp, and they're missing, we might run into some of them.
Maybe.
They might come back.
They? What do you mean they? Well, the loggers? I hope so. I didn't steal anything. Maybe some wood to throw on the fire, but I got to keep the leeches warm, right? And he looks at you, Jade, like you got to keep the leeches warm.
We completely understand.
Look, I'm gonna put it to you like this, Bellum. This that you just so happened to find this here, and you were put in this particular position. It's rather misfortunate.
No.
Isn't it?
No, you cannot. No. I didn't curdle your milk. I didn't cause your harvest to catch on fire. And I didn't give your pets fleas. I swear. And if it happened, it wasn't me. It was the Lady of Misfortune herself. And that's why I carry these. I'm trying to be responsible here. No. And he keeps looking over at Jade like Jade really has this guy rattled. But I mean, he's looking at you because you kind of gave him a talking to earlier as well. But he is like super. He's in a freak out mode right now. And you know the night's approaching. It's colder, darker.
All right, then allow me to put it more bluntly. Those who worship this particular deity, such as yourself, are conduits of bad luck.
I can't help it. It's not like I pray for bad luck. I do what I can to get rid of it. I do what I can to mitigate. I'm just trying to live my life.
It's not like he had a choice to begin with.
Thank you.
It's like there are always choices one can make to deal with a bad hand. As an example to you, good sir, you are haunted, say, by Black Bess, the Lady of Misfortune, Lady Doom.
He's giving some like little superstitious like words as you're mentioning the name of the different names of this
It's like
concept, this entity.
but you haven't thought to look at the other side of the coin.
I don't need to interact with luck. I just need it to bleed away. I just need to be left alone. That's all.
You're not going to be left
interacting
alone.
with good luck. It's a better option.
If you want, I'll prove to you that I'm not unlucky. I'll go with you. You want to find this tree? I'll help you find this tree. How about that? Huh? We'll see how unlucky I am.
You know, if we don't find that, you know that that entire thing does not work in your favor, because you don't know where it is. We don't know where it is, and so if we don't find it, there is a good chance that us not finding it could be attributed to your very presence. Not saying that would be definitely the case, but that is how part of this works. So you were in a bit of a catch-22 here, good sir.
Well, I don't have to go with you, but I mean, I'm just being out here. We're not just natural. It just seems to be supernatural in a way. There's just, where did all the loggers go? I would trade with them sometimes. I kind of knew where this camp was, but
They're dead.
Very likely.
No, not a likely, a certainty.
Jade is most likely correct.
That's unfortunate. Well, hopefully the
We
ones
should
who bought
not
my
be
amulets
held
are alive.
close in.
Say what, Jade?
What was that?
We were the ones to dispose of the skins. We're quite aware on what happened. And you ended up here nevertheless. So, that leads you to the question. If you are a thing of misfortune and of ill fates, then you were here, well, let's just simply leave it at you're supposed to be here. And if you really are the bringer of luck, as you put it, and such things. But if you are, that means that you are going to be accompanying us. Because, like I said earlier, you don't have a choice.
That's fine, lady. I'll go with you. I'll go. I'm fine with that. I gotta keep my leeches warm.
Leeches warm. Yes, we can do that. So then, give us his back.
Wait, what?
Need
What do
to
you
keep
want?
the leeches warm.
He has a fire built. That should be sufficient.
Not for the walk.
I mean, I am not particularly equipped with warm keeping capabilities, as it were. You'd have to
Body
talk to
heat
Brian.
will do.
No, I'm gonna put my foot down and say that we're not doing that, Jade. We are not intimidating this man.
Okay.
We're all in this predicament together. I mean, we all need someplace to sleep for the night. It
Look.
seems like the best option would be to everybody sleep, and maybe somebody keep watch just in case we run across some of those loggers.
Especially if Grimhilda has gotten to them.
Mm-hmm.
But we do this.
We all agree on this, right?
Yes. Yes, we can.
All right. So with the agreement of staying here for the evening, staying warm with the cold night temperatures and the snow that this very odd cold snap has brought. Pardon me.
I'm keeping watch by a window just in case, because I don't need to sleep.
Okay, that is noted. Fortunately, the night will pass with no real incident, trauma. For good or bad, none of the loggers come back. And it's time to press onwards. Norlai, you're the only one who hasn't acted yet, and this is morning.
Yeah.
What would you like to do here? You have Bellum, who's now with you ish. If nothing else, he's definitely been press ganged. Though he kind of might want to go with you anyway, since he was trying to look for this tree, perhaps for opportunistic reasons. But Jade certainly kind of gave him that intravenous injection of you're gonna be you're here. What would you like to do here? The only skill that so far is taken off the table is perception. Others are able to be used. You can get out and do some shoveling. You could do some scrounging. You can interact in the morning here, or if you'd like, I can produce an event for you.
Soon event.
Yeah, let's do an event. But no, Celine is many levels of distrustful of this guy. She doesn't want anything to do with him, basically.
All right, Norlai, you are. I mean, I guess you can appreciate keeping the leeches warm, considering you have a cold-blooded snake and a plant here. You're outside, maybe kind of doing some foraging, or I don't know. It's morning time, and nature's call and all that. And there is a distant rumbling, and you are hearing from the direction of the mountain just this kind of growing roar, like a great wind or something like that is happening.
And I roll just a straight nature? What that is?
Sure. All right, so a 16 or a 16. Norlai, that it sounds like it's getting a lot closer and pretty quickly. The mountain is coming towards you all. The snow has stopped falling from the sky, but it seems to be falling from another location.
I'm gonna go back into the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
And, how would I go about this? Oh, yes, stay inside. Don't go out.
What's going on?
There. It's bad.
Bad.
Snowstorm outside?
Um,
At this time of year?
no.
Strange.
No.
Like, this whole snowstorm to begin with is strange for this time of year.
That is true. For the most part. It's still springtime, but this is definitely a freakish event.
Like,
and it
feet
blew
of
down from the
snow
mountain.
in spring is not a...
It
not a
flew
thing.
down from the mountain as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
look out the window, see if I can see anything.
Yes. You can. So Norlai ran inside. You have this conversation about what's happening. Norlai tells you all to stay inside, and Mordecai, there is a wall of white
Kitty kitty.
that is barreling down the mountainside, and well, you all are inside the cabin, and what I need to have happen is okay.
That looks like an avalanche.
That does.
Right passes out from the shack.
Eee.
Okay.
Oh boy, that's
And the cabin creaks and groans. In fact, it's even kind of pulled up from any sort of like foundation as it's sort of rocked and is rolling in the snow here. And the area is covered.
That's a good thing we stayed in the cabin.
You all are tumbled about. There's all kinds of jars and such that are tumbling around. It smells of spices and teas and incense. And unfortunately, not all the leeches here are contained in their jars.
Mm-hmm.
freakish weather event.
Yep. Seems like there's something's weird going on here. We're gonna have to dig ourselves out now.
Yes.
Yep.
And who would like to do such a thing?
I would like to
We are
try.
reset, so it could be anyone.
I would like to try.
Okay.
So Salid is kind of just like, I kind of saw this coming. Because we're literally walking around with a walking, talking misfortune beacon.
I think
Would
you're
you like to do
being too
athletics,
hard.
Mordecai?
Yeah, that seems extremely coincidental. I am not very good at shoveling snow.
So you, so Mordecai here, you're making slow progress, and it seems to be compacted, or maybe it's even like ice that was forming that also tumbled down. But with a little, with help of others, I mean, you're not running out of air. Well, I mean, for you, Mordecai, you're not running out of air in the cabin, but it is tough to get through. But it does take a good part of the morning into the afternoon in order to dig through. And
yeah.
That's half a day lost.
I'll give Mordecai some assistance in digging us out.
There's a tunnel up and out, and you can see now that the avalanche has covered a good part of the forest, almost like blending it with the side of the mountain here. And you've dug up, and it has also, like, your cabin kind of floated along here. Trees have toppled over, but there is a very nice slope that is pretty clear going down. And considering what Bright was doing with Peggy Sue thinks that she sees something from the distance you are up, because you're by the top of the ramp looking down further, that you can go, and it could be a lead.
In the direction of the avalanche?
Yeah, like it's sloping downwards and looking down through the clearing, because there's no trees. Like they've all been sort of like moved or toppled or tumbled or whatever. It's like a clear slope.
Okay.
Going further into the woods, away from the mountain.
This is definitely freakish weather.
A little more than freakish weather.
Jade, Norlai, or Celine. You can... Athletics is still on the table. You can climb down. You can... I don't know. You want to sled down? You have a big... You have like a toboggan, like, a slope.
How big's the slope?
Very large.
I have this.
Ooh.
Just
So, you want to
like
have
jump,
like a
jump or
controlled...
sled or something, but like I can keep us from taking damage if any.
Okay, so you're proposing to sled down, but you're gonna, with Featherfall, you're gonna keep it kind of a controlled.
Yes.
That works. That's creative. Sure. All right, you all can pry up logs or some wood, like wood beams, and construct a sled of sorts to take down over the ice and the snow.
Celine is I mean, for the kind of badass Spectre, I suppose is the best way to describe it. Celine is gonna grab a wooden board, like 2-3 wooden boards. She's gonna she's gonna wrap them up together with a bit of rope. And she's gonna snowboard down the slope.
Okay. Norlight,
Oh, well.
I want you to make a charisma check to see if you can sort of control your magic. You're casting this spell and it'll work, but this is kind of a way to fine-tune or to kind of modulate it a little bit to provide this more modicum of control for this. And this will be your check for for this. Okay.
Okay, hold on. At least a 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since we're doing this all in kind of a one session here, we are going to have this ping and reset.
Alright.
Roll a percentile for me, please. 4. For the next minute, you can see any invisible creature you have line of sight to. Well then.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
So if there's any invisible, like, polar bears on the way down...
Keep me invisible, polar bears!
The Yeti pops out.
Oh god.
Alright, so you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to gain advantage. Okay, so it's a 12 instead of a 9. So you're manipulating your magic. This Featherfall kind of you get this feeling like you're not underwater, but you're getting kind of a, I'm walking through something that's denser than fog, but it's not, it's not water. It's definitely not like a pudding. But you feel a little bit more control. Everything is a little slowed. So Celine wants to go down on boards and such here.
Yeah, she's gonna.
And with the help of Noralai and her casting here, it is easier going, and you don't. If you're gonna fall, it's really gonna be because you want to fall, or you want to try and do an interesting trick, which is in your control, but you're kind of doing it in slower motion.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna try and do any tricks or anything like that. I'm just gonna sail down the slope on a board.
Sure. Now we have Bellum here, who Bellum and his wagon and his donkey are lost in the avalanche, and so he's only left with the things that were in the cabin, and even that has been kind of dispersed all around. So he's
That's a good thing we didn't bring Brick.
it probably is a good thing you didn't bring him. He says that I mean you're razzing him, Celine. He is going to keep he's going to take the amulet he has and he's going to bury it in the snow, and say that apparently the misfortune has overflown in that amulet. It's time for a new one, and he does take out a new one and he puts one on. And with this, 1, 2, 3, 4, because that was a success. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You all managed to go down here, skiing, sledding, sliding, snowboarding, skating, having some sort of conveyance. If you just want to walk down, I don't know, Jade, how you would approach this situation. What would you like to do to get down the slope?
I imagine some very strange bit of combination of spider climb and appearing to just sink into the snow and kind of, how do I put this? Try to imagine Bugs Bunny burrowing. You just see this little mound of snow coming on. Maybe the Jaws theme is kind of playing along the time.
Sure. All right, so with spider climb, you can kind of stick to pieces of board and such, and we can give you kind of a, maybe not necessarily a dig speed in that regard, but it'll be really close because you're effectively climbing at full speed down this slope and you're not slipping because you're sticking like these broken boards, and the fact that you can move so quickly, you just have this like spray of snow behind you as you're sliding and you're maintaining control, and you're like galloping on all fours because you could spider climb across this. You're galloping in control on all fours down, just creating this like a snowblower type effect up the slide. And I don't need any sort of a skill for this. This is just more cosmetic. Mordecai, how are you doing this?
I'm gonna follow Celine's lead and take a couple of boards and just kind of ride a board down the slope. I've never skied before. I don't typically go up mountains.
Well,
snowboard!
Fortunately, with Norlai here, you're more in control as you're able to strap something onto your shoes here. Okay. You make your way down, and as you're doing so, you're descending back into tree cover on either side as the hill is narrowing, as this ice and rock and snow slide is coming down. And ahead of you, there is a clearing, and the way has been made for you to just sort of, you're having to dodge over some treetops, but it's easy to do because of Norlai's spell here. Otherwise, this would have been a lot more difficult, and it's in a thick copse of trees. And there, as you're sliding to a stop, and you're looking now through the woods ahead, it would be, a couple 100 feet off in the distance, like if you're standing where this camera person was standing and taking a photo. There is a clearing of trees, and there is one, in fact, that it's almost like a willow tree, and it has pink leaves, fronds, or something like that coming down off of it, and all around it, it does appear to be melted snow. Like you can see the grass, you can see some ferns and other things. And there's a kind of like not an ice fog, but there's definitely like a mist, a normal fog, just sort of clinging around the base of this clearing.
Maybe it's in there.
That looks like it is.
So, why don't we head down there then?
I'm not getting very close to that at all.
Well, then I'll head down there then. Just slide down the slope towards this clearing.
I want to follow in the back of the group, just so that if something were to go wrong, like something were to start hurting you, for instance, I'd just stop.
As you approach, you see that the trees all begin to show faces in the bark, as if they're trying to push through the bark.
I don't like any of this.
I also
And
don't like
it's
Don't like
also-
what?
Oh, what was that, Derek?
Did you don't like what?
The faces in the trees.
It's also
Oh, you can see them too.
You're not the only one this time.
I saw that coming, but that execution was brilliant.
It's also getting warmer, and the snow turns to slush, and the slush just kind of turns to mud, and maybe about 100 feet out from this tree in the clearing, there is some kind of a large willow or something with with green leaves as a willow might, and it is a unnatural, beautiful, bright pink. In fact, it's the type of pink that reminds you of Bright's hair.
There it is.
And across it, while you do get the nooks and crannies and little crenellations and knots and patterns, it seems to be just of skin, and the skin is moving down the tree and like into the ground, but it doesn't stop to coming from the top. And there is faces, plural, that are just sort of like flowing down the tree. And as you're looking at the faces, the majority of them appear to have gnome features. Now, the faces that you've seen on the approach in the trees here, you're getting tiefling, you're getting human, like reflections of the majority of the people who would probably live in this area. But the tree itself has predominantly gnomish faces that are just sort of sliding down and into the ground. More faces just sort of slide very slowly down as this pink, almost hair is swaying in the breeze. There's a humidity, a warmth, as this flesh tree is giving off heat, like body heat, in an area around it. Like this thing is living, like this thing is creating...
Like maybe corrupted person or multiple people.
What?
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, that's... yeah.
And... Yes.
Well, I do need to go in about
the
5.
mists in this clearing are figures that are walking through, and they're making a rasping sound. And Mordecai, you are seeing as best you can through here. It looks like these are figures that are kind of like the one that ended up attacking you outside of Green Shield. They seem to be made of wicker, of dried branches, of just like these people or automatons, or just these live, we have a tree made of flesh, and yet we have parts of trees that have been given this form. And they're walking on like a set path, almost mechanical, like a patrol back and forth through the mists, raking, rustling, creaking. If they've noticed you, then they haven't taken any action yet. And what we can do here, especially because unfortunately we don't have Bright right now, is this was really meant to be a bit of a shock and reveal for her, but such as it is, we'll just pretend that she is in shock and horror and disbelief. I'll save some more details, but we can conclude here with you all.
I need to vanish in effect too, anyway. So.
Yeah, we're finishing up at the edge of this. Clearing, about 100 feet out from this tree. Now, because
and
you did,
still not taking any effects, yeah.
Correct. Nothing has happened so far. You had a nice brisk jaunt down. You're still full of unlife, and you're not feeling like you're falling apart. Because of the nature of the skill check and whatnot, I'm not Norali for your spell. I'm not going to count that against today. You are welcome to reset your spells as if you just woke up. Yeah, you're standing where you are, but that's fine. In whatever sense that you would normally have a spell suite for the day, something you've had prepared in case you found the tree. However you want to do that, you have had a full rest, and you can reset your spells for what you're about to get into in a manner that you think is going to be appropriate for the task at hand. And we'll leave off here.
Yeah. So I'm gonna run, but before I do, I want to show something off real quick. My fiance has been hard at work painting some miniatures, and I wanted to show off this one because this one's actually massive, and it's great. But have a look at this.
Oh, purple worm?
Yeah, this is Reaper Miniatures Goremore. colossal purple worm that she's
That's-
been painting at the moment.
We
that's
call him
creepy.
Snuggles.
Yeah, we call it Snuggles.
He's a
But no, I
very
thought I
spiky
would
purple boy.
Yes, he is a very spiky purple boy. But no, I wanted to show that off because she's been painting a lot of stuff as of recent. Not so much on stream, because the my particular camera, like my webcam, doesn't like working with OBS for some reason. But no clue as to why. The developers has no clue as to why. But I'm gonna run so I can get this character sheet printed off and ready for tonight.
I'll
So I'll
take a
see you
look
guys
for-
in about an
Go ahead.
Yep, I'll see you guys in about an hour and a half, and if I don't see you guys then, I'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
See ya.
Yep.
Okay, see ya.
Alright, I need to sleep too.
Okay.
Speaking of sleep, not
Speaking
because
of
of, for today's session, I was in my bed and I laid down and I swear I fell asleep for like 3 seconds.
Uh-huh.
I woke up and I was completely confused that the NPC was there. I got too cozy. I apologize. And I was just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now.
Yep. Anyway, I'm out. I gotta go.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah,
How about
sleep
you
well.
guys?
And
Hearts.
Dark Wolf, I hope you have a good session at the store tomorrow, and that you finish moving and get all that stuff arranged, because I know that's a pain in the butt to pack up all your stuff and then unpack it again.
I do, yeah. The place where I'm moving to is really nice, though. It's literally down the street from the shop.
Oh,
though.
wow.
It's off of off of Bogart in Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just like, yes, I'm gonna be so close to the store. I can come over there easily. I don't have to I won't get yelled at for being in Sandusky for like 5 times a week when I'm not working.
Well, and yeah,
Not that I get
it's
yelled
closer
at.
to
It's
that,
just
too.
like I'm closer to work, which is nice. Closer to the store, which is really nice. So I'm very excited for the move.
All right. Well, if you got to go to bed, you got to go to bed. That's fine. I'm going to take a couple minutes to refresh myself, and then, I reckon we'll go into some Jackbox or something until I see that Lethality goes live. So for any of you out in the audience, if you want to stick around, if you go to jackbox.tv, you'll see a code up on the screen when I come back, and we can play some Quiplash or some TKO, some other fun things, Trivia Murder Party, until Lethality Complex comes back with the Gathering of Nerds, which is his group, and then they do a weekly D&D one-shot, and they also rotate their DMs. So different content presented in different fashions, different methodology and different people doing it. So it's a lot of fun, and hey, you don't need a passport to go down to Australia for that show either. It's nice to be able to go and watch and enjoy, and be a part of this too. So, all right, I'll be back, everyone, and I'll see you around.
See ya.